mixed up this goo, right? It's a cool, muted green, right?
Rich though.
Rich, thick.
Whoopsie.
Boom, down. So it doesn't even move when I tilt it, right? That gives you a sense of how thick it is.
Wow.
So it's creamy, creamy to me. Butter we'll use at the end. Butter will be almost straight from the tube. That'll be those little dollops of the orange backlit seeds. So for something like this, I'm mixing and mixing, and I'm also thinking, okay, it's slowly drying, right? So I am doing something while I'm mixing. These were like a stallion pines or something back in here. Right. I like to use the brush, the whole body, yes. Jackie's got it. I got little splatters, the world marches on. Right? Can't be fixing that. Just part of it. As we approach the ground plane, I definitely want some variety of value. So I don't fill every hole, right? I'm not overpainting it. And I'm dropping in some of this. And you can see also, I've gotten to this stage where I don't even look at the photo much, right? I don't want to completely enclose the shape of the barn. I need it to integrate, to have a little outlet so that it can escape up into the mountain range in the back. But it does continue. And it all, as long as I don't cross the border of the dry paint, everything stays where it's supposed to.
Okay. I want to see how dry that paper is.
Oh, they're still sheen. Oh, it's
Yeah,
pretty wet.
because it's all wet into wet. Still, but it isn't. You can see up here it's starting to crawl.
Creamy.
Right, and up here the background mountain is drying, and it's not lifting when I put my finger on it, and so the tree is crawling in that little area.
Part.
In here,
Yeah, the part that's showing through the mountain up here, that white, the line.
the white is totally dry,
Okay.
right? Because that's from the first wash.
But what are you
Because
gonna
everything-
do with that?
Nothing. I'm gonna leave
You're
it.
just gonna leave it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Janet.
Don't worry.
No, I would do the same. But it makes us realize we can just leave it and it's
You
gonna be
can.
okay.
Yes, this is true. So
That's an unpainted part.
as the
Calm down, Janet. It's okay.
Anyway, you can get a painting.
so see how it grabbed it
Yes.
and left it.
Yes.
So now I want to fill, I don't know, part of it I can't, deliberately. But if I paint with some gusto,
Yeah.
I can get little highlights inside of it. Little
That
things
looks
to
cool,
hold.
right?
There's something in the distance. What we don't know what it is, but there are highlights in the distance, and it helps add depth to the painting and helps something for your eye to hold on to. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to paint the side of the barn. It does have shadow, just not a lot, right? So I have this diluted version, and pardon me, I have to step in for a moment. We need the barn to have a form, an architectural form. So I'm just dropping in this little shadow, right? It's clearly separate from the background, but it helps us begin to have a shape to this little simple barn. Now I can use my little baby brush. I'm still, by the way, everything is in this little band still, right? I'm not leaving this area until I'm done with it. If I start over here, I want to make a fence or something. Oh, that is the end of the universe, man. Because that'll be dry. I'll forget something. No, do it now. And then when you're done, then you can move on. So I want to have a dark barn door. So I mix up some ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to make it kind of a black.
Ultramarine blue and burnt sienna.
I had a cool blue and a burnt and a dirty orange. Right? We're just getting us to see.
No red?
Nope. And then I'm going to daub off some of it, and we're going to give ourselves a little darker shadow underneath the awning of the barn. Just like I was doing with that figure where we had little shadows within shadows, right? So,
There's a shadow there.
you're right. And then have little bits of some sort of cast shadow or something on the barn, right?
Oh,
Right? So we begin to arrive at the barn's shape. One of the things in the painting that we have, and I may do it at the end, is I did a little glaze on the face of the barn. A little glaze of orange, and it just warms it up, right? The next thing I'm going to do, just to
Where's
say,
your light coming from here? Where's your, oh, that way.
up on above, right, late in the day.
Okay.
So you can also do things like, in fact, if I remember correctly, I thought, oh, this barn door is too lonely. Put a little one up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
That's better,
The hayloft.
right? And there's like, oh, I screwed up. Too bad. So there you go. So at this stage we can play. I can scratch things out if I want to add little highlights, something in here, right? Just stuff.
What are you using, your nails?
Yeah. Right? And I can think, oh, that's too much. Right? That's better. I just want something in there for me to hold on to visually. I don't know, it doesn't even matter what it is. It's purely about design, right? If it's a big fat area, it's not interesting to view. We need to somehow open it up.
Okay.
So we add contrast by removing paint. So we're gonna start moving down the painting. I'm gonna tilt this a little bit more, and it's gonna let me, it's gonna help this dry faster. The water's gonna run off the mountain into this space. So I do wanna connect this distant area to the foreground. So I'm gonna grab some of this orange, right? And I'm gonna begin to add a little bit in here, right? And then I can get a handy dandy flat. And I can prep an area. And we can try and get these to connect. Just a little bit,
Okay, I see.
right? I don't want it to be a hard edge,
Okay.
right? We still have a horizon. We still have a transition in value between the dark trees and the foreground, the field. But now I can have a little bit of light and connection between the two of them. Sorry, you were going to ask a question?
No, if you got a little splat in the middle, what do you do with that guy? Just leave him there?
Nope. That's why we have this one.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
the tissue is really for lifting water and for drying areas. That's most of what I use it for.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody remembers when I was painting the figure, but I actually, like I had a point in time when some water got in an area that I didn't want to get by the hand, and I used the tissue to remove that water so I could make a dry mark in that area. That's a lot of what the tissue is used for. So I have this very viscous orange paint. This is butter. There's nothing that's just, if I had a tube, I'd take it right from the tube. And now I can play with it. And I can drop it in. It'll move, but only a little bit, right? Just adds a little bit of visual texture.
Cool.
And it'll gently expand,
That's gorgeous.
right? So this should be warmer. So that's gonna have to get warmed up as things dry towards the end. I'd like to do a little glaze on the front of the barn, but let's put in the posts for the fence. I'm mixing up a dark brown, right?
Pardon me.
Not at all.
There you go.
So we have these blue and a brown, and it just, right, it's on a little line between a blue and a brown. We can decide, do we want this to be a cool gray and it's more blue, or a warm gray and it's more brown? So for the posts, again, the goal is